FlHi Girls Surfing and Sports is brought to you by
NorthshoreBoardBroker.com. Buying and selling a wide variety of surfboards, SUPs, lessons, and more.
Find your perfect match today.
She wakes up and takes up a surfboard, heads out from the seashore, from the world where she lives. She's got no fears or worries at all right there, just the smell of salt water that's in the air, and the sunrise. She's walking on water. She's walking on water. This is how you get there. Find the ocean at Surf and See. This is how you find the best gear. Everything for the ocean is here. Don't just sit around the beach. Adventure is in your reach. This is how you get there. Find the ocean at Surf and See.
Aloha gang, Corey Harvey here with FlHi Girls Surfing and Sports. March was Women's History Month, and so to celebrate that, we go back in time to the 1970s and talk with renowned world photographer Shirley Rogers. Also, Australia is a site that is open once again to professional surfing competitions. We also take you back to the Lotte Golf Tournament where a couple years back, Michele Wie won the tournament. Let's start off with our Hawaii's own Carissa Moore, who, with Tyler Wright, have a rivalry that is heating up. Don't forget the younger lady, Carolyn Marks. Are you ready to go down under? Let's go.
I love Australia. I really love coming here every year. I've made some really good friends who feel like family. And we spend so much time here, it almost feels like a second home. Well, it feels amazing to be out of quarantine. It was a very long time in a hotel room, but luckily I had my husband, so it kept busy and stuff. But it's different to be here in Australia where there really isn't COVID, and to not have to wear a mask every day. It kind of feels like a little taste of normal life again, which is really cool. Being able to hug people especially, that's something I really missed. And the vibes have been great. It's been awesome to surf and see people and interact, and really happy to be here. I'm super excited to compete again. It kind of lost momentum after the first event because it's been so long in between. But it feels like this is the start of the tour, start of the season again, and I'm looking forward to putting the jersey on. A little nervous, obviously, still have those like pre-comp nerves and a little bit of anxiety just because it's been a while. So looking forward to putting on the jersey tomorrow and getting it all out.
To do 4 in Oz, I think is the next real logical decision. Having us here for this long and getting as much as they can. Because COVID is, throws a couple spanners in the works. Loves a bit of that, but to be competing here, I'm really happy to be competing at home. The new stuffs are good. It always makes you work a little bit harder because I feel like, we've been going to the other spots for like 10 plus years now, or individually. And so a new spot means, I think it actually means that your engagement level is probably a little bit higher with what you're doing because you're not going off 10 years of experience. It's all fresh, it's all new. It's pretty exciting. Newcastle's it's beautiful. The people are really nice and being really welcoming. It's like a big small town in Australia. It's not like small town, but it's not a huge city either. So it's like one of those medium towns where there's heaps going on.
We have more from Newcastle later on in the show, but right now let's pay some bills and then we'll take you to meet Shirley Rogers, the first woman surf photographer here on the North Shore of Oahu.
I'm Tanya Wildbill, founder of Wellness Wave. Yoga therapy helps to relieve chronic pain and increases flexibility. For surfers, it helps increase shoulder rotation. Yoga therapy provides deep lengthening of the muscle fibers, stimulates the circulatory system, and awakens the breath. When the body can lengthen and the breath opens, we reduce stress and anxiety. It improves posture. Let yoga therapy awaken you.
Aloha gang! March was Women's History Month, And our producer, Betty DiPolito, caught up with her old friend, Shirley Rogers, who was one of the first women surf photographers on the north shore of Oahu. Back in the 1970s, it was a wild, wild west, and Shirley was there to catch all the images. Let's find out where she came from and what part of her body was the most famous.
Well, my dad was in the military. I was born in Japan. My mom's Japanese. My dad met her there when he joined the Air Force and fell in love with her and stayed with her his whole life till he passed about 10 years ago. But I was born in Japan, and living in Japan, I lived there till I was about 9. And then we moved to Texas, of all places. And I thought Japan was prejudiced because I have sort of hazel eyes and, you know, look different. Anyway, so they were really prejudiced against mixed tapa, we'll call it. Anyway, so we moved to Texas. Oh my gosh, even worse. Anyway, when I was 17, my dad got transferred to Hickam in Hawaii, and everybody looked like me. I was home. And so by the time about a year later, my parents they transferred back to Texas, and I was 17. I said, oh, hell no. I'm staying. And so they took my brothers and sisters and flew away and left me here. Well, I also lived at the only surf spot, Neva Beach, right on the ocean, at empty lots. And so that's where I learned how to surf, and I was taking photography classes in high school. And so right after high school, when I graduated, me and my boyfriend moved to Pupuke on the North Shore. In those days, our job as women on the North Shore was to go to the beach from 9 to 5, like a job. So that's a lot of time to spend gossiping and reading magazines, and so I took my camera and started shooting pictures, just basically because I was bored. But then after a while, people said, you know, those are really great. You should send them in, and lo and behold, they started publishing them, Surfer and Surfing and Tracks magazine. And so after a while, then I got really serious, and especially when Dickie Hoole and Jack McCoy were making a movie, Tubular Swells, I think, and they asked me if I would use their Century lens from land to shoot while they went in the water to do water shots. And after that, I was just hooked. I mean, I went and bought a big lens also, exactly like that. It was Century. That was a Hollywood lens, you know, with a large aperture. And then the rest is history. Then I just went nuts. I went every day, and I got all the equipment, and I got to travel, do you want to travel the whole world shooting the most perfect waves and men in the world? Okay. A lot of my girlfriends were surfing and starting to compete, like Jericho, you, Lynn, Boyer, you know, all the Rel was, you know, it was a real big deal. Although remember the first payoff for first place was like $1,500 for first place. I think that was offshore, or that was the first women's contest. I got a picture of Margot holding a check for $1,500 for first place. And none of the guys photographers like Merkel and the boys, I'm not going to specify just Merkel, but all of them weren't interested in shooting the women because first of all, they weren't really getting published. And so they wanted to shoot Sean and, you know, Michael Ho and all those guys. So I was really interested because they were all girlfriends of mine. Those got printed, you know, as like novelty. I'm trying to think, I don't think I got any women surfing shots published I don't think I did. I think it was all just those kind of, on the beach shots of you and Rel and, Jericho and stuff. No, there was just no money in it. And proof, $1,500 first place. And it was like a huge sponsor. I think it was offshore. I think Bruce Jenner was one of the commentary. Remember, it was Worldwide Sports. It was ABC Sports, I think. Anyway, so nobody really took it serious of course, because there was no money in it at that time. Now it's like mainstream and women are hot. I mean, it's the new deal, so yay, girl power. I was the only woman for the longest time. That's when you had to wait a week to get your shots back to see if you had got anything good, and you had to pay for the film and the processing. So, at that time I was lucky to get, a few good shots on one roll, or if I was on, that particular day, I'd get, 5 or 6, and I'd be super stoked. There was a flurry after that first one, right? There, for the next couple years where big sponsors were coming in, And again, I was, chasing all you girls around, at Haleiwa and Sunset, usually those were the 2 places. But it's just started getting to be more and more, but it took a long time before it really came into its own, like how it is now. I actually used to get angry that there was pictures of me every month in every surf magazine. I'm like, what the hell? I'd be pissed off. What do you print my pictures that I took, not pictures of me? What was I thinking? I got a whole portfolio of shots out of magazines that I clipped and saved. Thank goodness. The FlHi started in my kitchen, and I was on the other side of the wall with the glass, listening. That works really well, by the way. I was listening to what they were talking about at that time. And who knew that was gonna turn into a big thing, worldwide, and clothing line and the whole thing. So, well, there's no real good stories about conflict, and the fact, when the Australians first came over, right? They were the bronzed Aussies, and they were from Australia, where it's their job to be cocky and let's face it, they were ripping. PT and Ian and Mark Richards and who else? There was all those, and they were all young kids, and they were getting sponsored, and they were cocky. And they didn't understand the respect that they should, the courtesy and respect they should have given the locals, right? Especially the FlHi. So in that first meeting in my kitchen, I'm listening on the other side of the wall with the glass. That works really good. And they were talking about beating up the Australian guys. They were talking about PT and Ian and Sean Thompson, which was my best friend's boyfriend at the time. And Sean is a gentleman. I mean, he was 19 when I first met him. He lied and said he was 21. He said he was our age. But it was all, and all these really young guys were just coming on, winning everything. And, so the FlHi started mainly so they could get in the water, probably so they could be charged for the water safety patrol, which they should, because they were risking their lives, So, yeah. And that is still, to this date, the water safety patrol. These are the finest rough water rescue men in the world, right? Thank God. So I was one of the first people that saw Uluwatu. In fact, the day I went there was nobody there out in the water. And it was a good 1 hour walk from the main road through cow pastures to get there, and then climb down cliffs and all that. But and now I went, gosh, that was when I first went. There was nobody out there, and it was mind-blowing perfect. And then I was one of the first people that went to Java to G-Land, which is a game preserve 30 miles from the middle of nowhere on the jungle, and you could only sail there or, motor there. And the first time I went, there was just tree houses, and I show up with like blow-up mattresses and pillows and sheets, rain bath. There's no water. Water from 5 miles down the beach from a dirty pond that I had to boil and strain through my bikini bottoms to get the bugs and leaves out. And then one day I went down the beach with the camp boy. So, my God, I found a human skull in the water. Yeah. Huge tiger prints like the size of dinner plates all around the sand. Almost died on that shoot too. Boat capsized, broke my arm, washed up on a remote village. They thought I was a 50-foot woman. And I didn't tell you this part. When I walked up on the beach, soaking wet, I'm wearing a yellow t-shirt, no bra, but I'm wearing a bikini bottom, and reef walkers. And I come walking up this beach, and they're like, they didn't see that boat sink. The whole village surrounded me and was touching me. I mean, I had like 20 hands on me, all right? And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, And later I thought, they're all about boob high, leathery horsehair, and my hair was shiny and silky down to my waist. I had real soft skin, and they were feeling my skin and my hair. They were going, ooga booga, ooga booga. You gotta feel this. Line, I got on Magnum PI. I'm still on the beginning of the old one, in the trailers where Tom's holding me in the water. I'm on my, good news. I'm in the beginning of every Magnum all over the world. Bad news, you can't see my face. Can't see my butt, which everyone seems to recognize, which is weird. Anyway, so, yeah, that's still on. And, I did a whole bunch of stuff. Jack of all trades, master of fun is my motto. I still do photography, but more, I like shooting people. I love shooting parties, weddings. As long as I'm not the only photographer, I don't want to be responsible for that. But yeah, it's fun. I like photography. I still do. But, as for carrying heavy equipment and standing in the sun for 10 hours a day with no ozone, no thank you. But, we were using manual cameras back then, where you had to, judge your speed and your aperture based on the light you had and all that. That's not an easy deal to do. It takes a lot of diligence, a lot of free time. You can't have a day job. You got to be up and be able to move when the waves are happening, and even pick up and pack up everything, move down the beach and carry all that stuff, Yeah, it was, I had these big lenses and, Miller head tripods that were wooden legs and, fluid head, which was so fun. I went to Tahiti, I went to Brazil, I went to Bali, Australia, East Coast, West Coast. I did, it was fun. Yeah, I'm proud of what I did, but, and I still have all my shots that you need to see.
Tab Pacific, a resort-wear line of fashion made in the Cook Islands and known for their unique tapa-style block print designs, hits the shores of Oahu. Conveniently located in downtown Honolulu, check out Tab Hawaii's new showroom, warehouse, and photo studio. For more details, follow them on Instagram @TabHawaii.
And off we go to Newcastle, Australia for the Rip Curl Cup. Let's check out some of the action. Who do you think will be wearing that yellow tour leader jersey?
To be down at Newey and look at all the Groms behind me. Yeah, guys, they're all down here to support us, and yeah, it's so nice to see crowds back and an Aussie one at that. Yep.
I'm so grateful to be here, and yeah, definitely really stressful getting here, but I'm stoked I'm all healthy and good to go, and it's so good to be back in Australia. It's been a few years, and it's one of my favorite places in the world.
honestly, when I woke up this morning, it reminded me of High Tide Bells. And I went, okay, Bells is coming here. It missed us. But you know what? I'm just so thrilled to have some swell on hand, and I took a few days off and just have some really good crew around me. I feel very grateful right now.
Here in Newcastle, I'd like to introduce your champion, Carissa Moore.
At the moment, I feel great. I know that with a season, there's going to be ups and downs and hills and valleys, and I'm just I'm ready to roll with the punches. I'm excited. It feels really great to start off with 2 final appearances, but it's a long year. Anything can happen, and I just want to take it event by event, heat by heat, wave by wave.
TAV Hawaii is now open, featuring the popular Polynesian block print designs from the Cook Islands and TAV Pacific. TAV Hawaii proudly offers an exclusive design for our islands. Check us out at Instagram at TAV Hawaii. Sponsored in part by Sea Hawaii, a Native Hawaiian owned and operated business. We ain't your mama's mu'u mu'u.
FlHi Girls Surfing and Sports. Be a part of the women's sports movement. Water sports are the fastest growing activity in the world, and FlHi Girls Surfing and Sports covers them all. Let us elevate your project. Contact our marketing team. Be a partner and fly with us. FlHi Girls Surfing and Sports.
Hawaii's very own Michele Wie returned to golfing after a wrist injury, marriage, and a baby. However, she had to pull out of this year's Lotte golf tournament due to that same wrist injury. So we're going to take you back to the Lotte tournament that she did win a couple years ago in Koolina. Let's check it out. Well, we're here down in Koolina on the west side of Oahu at the Lotte LPGA Championship, and we've been following Michele Wie for the past couple days. She has been playing amazing. Right now she's tied with 2 other women for first place, and we're on the back 9 waiting for her to see what she does for the rest of the tournament. So let's check it out. Round 3 saw Rolex 17th ranked Angela Stanford extending her lead to 4 shots after carding a 5 under 67 in the 3rd round, while 16-time tour winner Christy Kerr sits in solo, 4th at 8 under par. He is in a good position to make a run for the win. She seems to feel comfortable here at home, and her putting has been holding up to all the pressures. Here, Michele is putting for birdie. Here's surfer Tiffany Joe, 3rd round, 18th hole. Tough hole after going over the green into the water. Joe is from San Diego and an All-American from UCLA. She was Player of the Year in 07 and 08 and joined the LPGA in 2011. She's one of the most liked players and one to look out for. She's known for her humor and musical talent, and she surfs.
Well, it was super windy, so it was a little difficult, but I kind of grinded it out really well and hung in there until the last hole when I kind of had like a magnificent blow up. But, you know, like I have 18 holes tomorrow to make up for it, so I'm not too concerned.
We are on the 16th hole where we're waiting for Michele Wie because she is in the lead and she hasn't won a tournament since 2010. So let's follow the action.
Okay, take 2.
Stanford, Kim, and Wie have made it to 16th, with Michele now in the lead after a birdie on the 1st, 5th, 6th, 12th, and 13th. Here they go teeing off on 16, a par 3 hole, and a hole-in-one could win them a new car. We started the day off 4 shots behind third-round leader Angela Stanford. On the green now, Michele putts for a birdie and makes it, increasing her lead by 3 shots. Stanford dropped a shot on 6 and 8, and Michele is ahead now by 2 shots. Here we, Stanford and Kim, tee off on 17 with Stanford dropping another shot. On the 18th now, a beautiful view of a challenging finishing par 4 hole. We plays this one safe, bogeys the hole, shooting a 5 under 67 to take the win. Stanford finished in solo second, and world ranked number 1 Inbee Park finished third at 11 under par. Michele Wie has just won the LPGA Lotte Championship. Another win for Hawaii. Congratulations, Michele Wie. Aloha gang, thanks for joining us here on Fly Girl Surfing and Sports. But before we go, we want to say congratulations to Hawaii's own Jordan Barrett, who is from Haleiwa, and she is on the USA skateboarding team, and she's going to represent the USA in the Olympics. Yeah, girl, go, you are so awesome. Aloha gang, stay safe and happy. We'll see you in the water.